All right, guys, how many times have you gone out, bought something that is super cool and said, hey, I am going to love this. It fits A, B, C of all my needs, solves this problem. And then you get it home and read the instructions and bam, you're like, dang it, that is a deal breaker. That's the case I'm in today, and what I'm going to ask you to do is pause this video, leave some comments below on what you've purchased and what has come up in that similar situation. Leave that below. I know I don't ask you guys to do that much, but it's going to help other people, and it might help me as what to look at for some reviews in the future. I appreciate those comments. Please pause, do that now. Let's get on with this review of two LED lights that I got that just aren't going to cut it. Stay tuned. These lights are new products from NextLED. They're sold at Menards, Eastwood. You'll see their stuff also on Summit as Summit branded. They're kind of like an OEM for multiple different places. They actually do make some nice items. They have a decent underhood light that's very affordable. These two are affordable lights and they're multi-mode. So here we have what I loved, a huge thin disc of LEDs. I believe it's 500 lumens. Now, this is similar to what I've seen in blood tracking lights that don't work, but I don't know if this works. We're going to try to prove this today. UV light, so it should show you anything that's leaking below. And then you also have this light that's on the side that pulls out and is more of a focusing light. You can actually change it. You can't see probably here, but I can take this and focus it in on something or back it off so I can get light exactly where I need. Now for me, this was going to be perfect for the lift because everything is behind me. Now, I know everybody's not going to be like, woo, this isn't the deal killer. It's USB mini rechargeable. That was the first thing I was like, dang it. But when I read the instructions flat out right in here, it says, number 4, do not charge the battery for longer than 8 hours. Overcharging will cause overheating. Who that has a shop is going to put these things out and put a timer on how long they're going to charge them? Everyone plugs their stuff in overnight, sometimes over the weekend, multiple days. So that warning alone says, okay, overheating a 5.2 amp hour lithium ion battery, which kind of scares me in the whole way. And here we have charging time, 3 hours, 5 volts, 2 amps. It doesn't tell you here, but we have a 5.2 amp hour battery in here that's going to overheat, and that's what fires come from, and that's what scares me. I thought these little ball bearings on the bottom might be magnets when I first looked at it, and I thought that was going to be cool for the lift. Anything that doesn't have a smart computer chip inside of it, to me, that says, okay, battery's fully charged, stop charging, kind of is a bummer because I don't want to fire. I don't want to sit and babysit these things. I don't want to remember. I just want to use my lights, plug them in and charge. That's what's killing it for this. So my initial thought for these lights was something to put on the runners of the 4-post lift, because realistically, that's where I have the hardest time getting a light, is right up in here. Although I can use a magnet and point something up, but I end up knocking that off and it falls to the ground. It's just a pain in the butt. This seemed like it was going to be a much better light source, and while the camera probably doesn't show it, it does go out to about the middle of the car. We're getting the catalytic converter here on this quite nicely, but that's about it. So this does work in this situation. It just scares me a little bit too, just because of these rollers that are on the bottom. But realistically, if they fall, they'll probably break, but it says do not drop them. Either way, they do work for the intended purpose. I just have to babysit them. Let's see if that UV light works. Here's more of the intended purpose for this light. Obviously, you'd be on the ground, turn it on. There's the blue light, UV light. And you would turn this guy up and you can see everything. And it does a great job of illuminating this golf cart. And this is what I've been working on. I got a brake cable here that's a little bit too long for the lift, put some new springs in the back. Just basically trying to get this in shape for spring. So if I were to had this, while I was working on it this weekend, this would have been great. sucks, you know, that some of this stuff doesn't line up and that the lifts in this shop are full. But what also works well is this little guy. If we wanted to turn on a different light or have light in a different place, you can see now where we can light up certain areas so that we don't have anything to do with shadows or anything, and you can adjust this. So I like the fact that it is adjustable and we can do what we need to do with this dude. That's super cool. Now on here, if we have this light on, the actual LED, I took and put a little smear of oil here and a smear of coolant on this side. So we have two lines. I'm hoping you can see them. I can see them with this light perfectly. If I switch over to UV, this reminds me exactly of those blood cam or blood flashlights that we see for hunting. I'll tell you, I think I see this better with the actual white light than I do this blue light. Now, if I get it real close, I can tell that the metal is wet more than anything. I personally am not going to say that anything here glows or that it sticks out. None at all, to be honest. I also have a bunch of oil and grease sitting around these bushings here that is not glowing either. So having this UV light underneath is, to me, you almost have to have a UV dye put in this stuff. And that's what we used to do. We would put a dye in everything. Like your AC stuff, you'd put a dye in, and then they could shine a light in and see where things are leaking. So this thing of, hey, we're going to put a UV light out and just see what's happening, I'm going to call that a little bit of marketing BS also. As a light, I absolutely love it, and the way it works, what it'll do, the way it's thin, how I can put it in different places. For me, underneath a lot of things, this is absolutely cool. Maybe I'm being a little bit too sensitive about don't plug it in for more than 8 hours as the battery will overheat. There's tool brands out there that do the same thing and say don't plug it in for more than 8 hours and that your tool battery will actually fry itself. That's not cool. I mean, that's what we do. We work all day, we plug our stuff in at night, we come back in, we work all day again, and we recharge it overnight. If we can't recharge our stuff overnight and let it go, and we have to babysit it, I'll just use a cord. I mean, the last thing, maybe this is where I go to in my head, right? You're gonna overheat a lithium-ion battery, and what happens there? I mean, I've seen it in RC cars. We've all heard about, oh, you can't take them on planes, and there's been fires on phones and things like that, but do they really catch fire? I can tell you from us beating up tools that we have never, ever had a battery catch on fire, but we have had them get very, very hot to the point where they'll melt the plastic and they'll start smoking like mad. That is not something I want in my shop that is inside a plastic light that's going to start melting and getting very hot. So with that experience, I think that's why I'm a little bit more sensitive. Again, very curious to leave another comment down there, if you will, if you've had any issues with lithium-ion batteries as far as, or lithium polymer or any of the other ones. I know with RC cars they're a little different. But with that said, what is it? Is it... I don't like bagging on products, right? I come out and I do it quite a bit, but it's because they could have really used just a touch more technology inside of here and we'd have had a really great product. I would pay $5 more for this product to be able to use it. I'd pay $10 more for this product to be able to physically use it and have a good one, rather than saying, let's make the least expensive, most profitable light that we can. And that's what burns me. Great product here. USB-C charging would be awesome with some sort of unit that says, okay, the battery's charged, turn me off. I'll just sit here in a resting state and make sure that that battery stays charged until it's going to be used again. And I would tell you guys to go flood the market and buy every one of these you could, because they're going to work if you work underneath cars or underneath different things. Who cares if the UV light works or doesn't work? You might get a UV dye and put into something, and then that will be priceless. Either way, Thanks for sticking around. I'll put a link to some of the stuff that these guys have. You're going to see some things on that page that are going to be like, oh my God, they make that for this company? Oh, I've seen that at SEMA. There's a lot of those aha moments that are going to be in that link. Check it out. Appreciate your time, guys. Give me a like in this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, have a great day.